Hey guys, Mulligan here, and welcome to part 1 of my preview of the upcoming Eternal set, the Dusk Road. We'll be talking about the cards from the upcoming expansion that have been spoiled this past week. Since you guys are seeing this on Monday, it will probably be mere hours until another set of cards are spoiled, if they haven't been spoiled already. As with the Omens of the Past preview videos, I will only be talking about the cards as far as their use in Constructed, unless the card is absolutely terrible in that format, in which case I will briefly talk about its potential use in Draft. Let's hop in. So the first card on the list is Kuryakin Satiableseeker, a 6 power 5/5 unit requiring 2 fire, 2 time, and 2 primal influence to play. He has flying. He also has +2/+2 while you have a relic, and an ultimate where when Kuryakin hits the enemy player, if you have 5 or more spells in your void, create and draw a Dragon's Eye. So 3 faction cards are confirmed for this set. Although many of us in the community were expecting this to happen eventually, I have to admit that I personally didn't expect to get 3 faction cards this soon. Anyway, I think this card in itself is pretty solid. The first card I thought of to activate the first ability is Power Stone, which is perfectly playable currently. There's also another relic we'll be touching on towards the end that is playable with Kuryakin in theory. 6 power 7/7 flyer should be easy enough to activate, but that depends on the relicate we get in this set, if any. The ultimate might be more of a challenge. It seems to demand that you want to play this in a slower ramp deck with spells like Find the Way and maybe even Secret Pages. I say that because I don't think Torch, Wisdom of the Elders, and Seek Power quite cut it by themselves. The other concern is if a slower Fire Time Primal deck is going to be viable in the Dusk Road metagame. Up until now, we've seen greedier decks that tried to combine the best of Praxis and Elysian midrange together, but they weren't super serious. Maybe a Dragon Tribal ramp strategy will be possible next set? We'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one in Constructed. Next up is Helpful Doorbot, a 0 power 0/3 unit requiring 1 fire influence to play. As you can imagine, there's not much to say about this card. The art is absolutely adorable. Outside of that, I can only speculate what possible synergies we get in the Dusk Road that would allow this to be playable. There was talk a while back that there would be an expansion that put a heavy focus on tribal synergy. Grenadins are one of the many tribes in Eternal. This set, from what we've seen so far, might indeed be tribal focused, so there might be a small chance this sees Constructed play. As far as draft, we don't currently know what the new draft format will be, but trying to draft for any type of specific synergies like Strangers or Life Force has historically been difficult. So I don't have much hope for this little guy in draft either. Next up is Jotun Punter, a 5 power 2/6 unit requiring 1 primal influence to play. You can exhaust Jotun Punter to give one of your Yeti +4 strength and flying this turn. At the end of your turn, stun that Yeti. Can I get this out of the way? This art is insane. It's absolute quality. This is actually my favorite art in the set so far. I don't condone the abuse of Yetis, but the art is just too funny. Very solid defensive stat line for a 5-drop. Anyone that's played with Waystone Infuser knows this. However, the ability completely negates that. It is a tribal focused ability that gives a substantial buff to Yetis, but the fact that you have to exhaust this to do so means you lose a huge blocker for that turn, and you have to stun the Yeti on top of that at the end of turn. Not to mention the buff isn't even permanent. It just seems like way too much of a tempo loss to me. I doubt this sees serious play in Constructed, and we'll probably see fringe play in draft, but we'll see what the rest of the set offers. The next card is Last Stand at the Gate, a 7 power spell requiring 3 Justice influence to play. You play 3 2/3 Treasury Guards and a 6/6 Gilded Hammer, and your health becomes 1. I think this card is very cool. Since the hammer is a relic weapon, your health is effectively 7 and not 1. But regardless, the purpose of this card is to play it in a situation where you're behind and low on health anyway. Generally, this is awful when you're ahead or if the game state between you and your opponent is about even. The only other time you'd play it is if this would give you lethal damage with the hammer to win the game. It would be cool if this saw play in constructed, but I seriously doubt it. In most cases, the best cards are constructed viable because they're good in nearly every stage of the game, no matter the situation. Cards that still see play in constructed but aren't the best, quote unquote, at least fill some type of supporting role in the deck and are still good in multiple stages of the game. This card, I would argue, does neither. At best, this is a decent to good pick in draft since Treasury Guards are serviceable in that format, and a 6/6 relic weapon is extremely powerful there. The next card is Devastating Setback, a 4-power spell requiring 2 Shadow Influence to play. The enemy player discards a spell or attachment of your choice from their hand, or each unit gets -2 strength and -2 health. So personally, the art on this card reminds me of something else from another popular game that some of you may know. Aside from that, my initial impression on this card is that it's okay. Not terrible for constructed play, but not amazing either. I'm glad we're getting more modal cards, it seems. I'd like them to have more powerful effects than this, though. I would imagine people will mainly play this for the second ability, since we currently have no board wipe style card that gives units -2 in strength and health. We have Lightning Storm, but it's not the same thing. That said, I doubt something like Film Control wants this, especially since they're running Sabotage, which only costs 1. The fact that decks are finally running Sabotage main deck is overdue in my opinion. And every shadow-based mid-range list lately is running Sabotage as well. Big Xenon probably doesn't want this either. They already have access to Sabotage, and some lists already run Vara's Choice as their discard effect of choice, or Stray in the Shadow as a more powerful board wipe. It's just tough to find room for this, even if the second effect might be better than Plague. I think this might be a sideboard card in tournaments, but nothing more. And the next card is Temporal Distortion. This is an 8-power relic requiring 3-time influence to play. Your spells are fast, and at the start of the enemy turn, replenish your power. Personally, I think this card has potential. I would even go so far as to say that this card is fairly costed, since if you spend your turn 8 to play this, you're getting all your power back once the enemy starts their turn to respond to stuff. This seeing play, however, will completely depend on what spells we get in this new set. I don't think we have enough good spells right now to abuse this effect, mainly because this is a time card, and you can only run but so many factions that do have the good spells along with time. Because the time faction doesn't really have them currently. I kinda wish this was a primal card, to be honest, but I'll be waiting in anticipation for the rest of the cards as they're spoiled. Again, this card's viability depends on it, in my opinion. The next card is Royal Charter, a 1-power relic. When this comes into play, you scout, and you can pay 6 and sacrifice Royal Charter to draw 2 cards. So, I need to say that I am super hyped about the renaming of the scry mechanic we got in Omens. For those new to the game, certain cards allow you to look at the top card of the deck and choose to keep it on top or put it on the bottom. That is now what Scout is, and I kid you not, a few days ago I was thinking about good names to rename the mechanic, and the 2 that came to mind were Recon and Scout. And I liked Scout better than Recon, so when I saw this, I got so excited that I called it, though I am sure others thought Scout was a good name way before me. Anyway, this is the other relic card I was mentioning when talking about synergy with Kuryakin. This is one of those effects where it's not obvious how good it is. It's not some over-the-top kill-all spell, or something that instantly draws you a massive amount of cards, or searches for a specific card. I think this card is deceptively good. It gives slower mid-range and control decks something to do in the early game, allowing them to filter through their draws. Paying 1 power for a scout effect is normally not impressive, but the fact that this is on a relic that also has the ability to draw 2 in the mid to late game makes this card worth playing, in my opinion. 6 is a lot to draw 2, but the other ability is meant to be a power sink if you have nothing meaningful to do on your turn, which can come up quite a bit in certain control decks. I would not pass up on this card as far as constructed play is concerned. Keep an eye on it. And finally, we have Wanted Poster, a 1 power curse requiring 1 Justice Influence to play. When the cursed unit dies, you draw 2 cards. The initial reactions to this one are extremely positive. Some people are calling this card nuts and an auto include in some decks. I think the card is good, but not that good. You're only paying 1 power to invest in future card draw, but you are also paying the card itself to do that. And you still need to spend the card you were going to use to kill the unit anyway. At the end of the day, this doesn't actually net you card advantage, but it's a strong digging effect. Keep in mind that curse cards can only be played on enemies, so no tricky plays where you kill your own unit will be had with this. Also, top decking this late game is pretty awful unless the only card you were holding was a removal spell you couldn't use that suddenly became live. I do expect this to see play in constructed, but I also think some people are going to be disappointed. This isn't the new version of the 1 power Inspire before it got nerfed. This is probably going to sound crazy, but I'm even reluctant to say this is better than Royal Charter, but we'll see. If nothing else, the flavor of this card is absolutely incredible. Thanks for listening to my thoughts on the spoilers from the upcoming Dusk Road set that we got this past week. Again, we will probably either be seeing new cards spoiled a few hours from the time this video is uploaded, or they may be here already. If you liked the video, feel free to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments if you have any feedback for the content and what brews you guys are thinking about trying when the new set finally drops. I've got other Eternal content on this channel as well, so feel free to look around. Anyway, thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. I'll see you all soon. Take care.